what's going on, y'all? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And you're about to watch a little OTB LSU.
We're going to give you all the latest, greatest between LSU football, baseball, women's basketball, softball, and everything in between.
Bottom line, if you want to talk Tigers, keep it locked, subscribe, like it, and we hope you enjoy. The transfer portal never ends, and every day there are new little tidbits to break down. Right now, former Georgia Tech, Tennessee, and Louisville safety Wesley Walker will be visiting LSU this weekend. I did have to double check to make sure this is correct. Yes, this man has been on a Georgia Tech roster, a Tennessee roster, a Louisville roster, and is now transferring once again.
Can I ask y'all how y'all feel about that, man? Like, we're getting to a point where you're seeing kids that have been to 3 different schools in 3 years, 4 different schools, and where do y'all stand on that, man? Because, y'all come from the old school version of college football.
I say, look, man, if they're going to pay you to do it, do it. Obviously, he has a bit of wanderlust.
Yeah.
Have y'all ever seen basketball?
Yeah, of course.
I don't know.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So the beginning of basketball, where they're talking about the downfall of professional sports, and and the Jazz moved to Utah, where there is no music or whatever, and there's free agent, and they have like a free agent press conference, and the guy's like, "I'm so happy to be here in the city of Miami," and they're like, "Minneapolis" or something. He's like, "Minneapolis." He's like, "Whatever." Basically just saying that like pro sports was heading down this road where there is no loyalty and and it's all being cheap. And I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that college sports would actually arrive at the basketball future before pro sports did. But it's kind of how we feel. I don't know. I don't really care. I find it funny. I don't have much emotion for it, but it is deeply funny to me that he could be Georgia Tech, Tennessee, Louisville, and he's being hosted now on a visit to LSU this weekend.
Like I think it's stuff like an old man now. So like I'm thinking of stuff like in the future of like these bonds and these things that you have with the school that you went to for 4 years. Like I do hate the fact that they're not going to have that because you bounced to 4 different schools. Like what's home? Where are you going to go back to?
No
but
home.
like to his point, like you're going to have, the ability to make money in the transfer portal. And if that's what you decide is the most important thing for you, I'm not going to sit there and count somebody else's money. It's not how I would do it. I love the fact that we can sit here on normal Wednesdays and me, Flynn, and T-Bob as former teammates can chop it up. And, when we go, home to a college football game, we know where that's at. Like, I appreciate that. I like that fact. I like that I can show my boys, hey, this is where Dad played 4 years of college football. That's not the thing for everybody. Again, I'm not counting somebody else's money.
Yeah.
But that part of it, I do think they'll look back and be like, man, I wish I stayed maybe just at 2 places.
Yeah, look, maybe so. I don't exactly. And look, to be clear, the majority of players are not doing this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are guys around the fringes that are doing this. So, it's probably overdone in terms of like it's ruining the fabric of the sport, but it is a bit wild. So Wesley Walker is fine, but what probably matters more for LSU fans here is he is the stepbrother of Tyler Barone. And do you remember when Ole Miss was assigning or recruiting their super transfer team in this offseason? They had Princely Emmanueli, Walter Nolan, and then remember edge rusher from Tennessee, Tyler Barone was one of those names.
Yep.
Well, apparently Tyler. I don't know. I don't know if he ever got to Oxford. I don't know what the deal is, but he does not want to play for Ole Miss, and he is in the transfer portal. Now, he did sign papers with Ole Miss during that winter portion, meaning if Barone were to commit to an LSU, Ole Miss would have to let him out of that agreement. I think they probably would. Like, I think you can apply enough social pressure to Ole Miss, especially because they're building such a transfer-heavy school that maybe you can use it to kind of dirty recruit against them if they try to block a player's latitude. But that's maybe the big deal here. Tyler Barone's a very solid edge rusher. He's a stepbrother of Wesley Walker, and he could potentially visit LSU with Walker this weekend.
Yeah, and why that's important, the T lays out him signing papers with Ole Miss. Remember the SEC rule, if you're there in the spring, you can't transfer to another SEC school and be eligible. You would have to actually sit out a year. First window, fine. Second window, can't do it. So that's why that would be important. If it was another school, you'd be like, oh, well, he just put himself back in the portal. He's fine. He's going to be eligible. But if he goes to another SEC school, he would have to get released by Ole Miss.
And again, I think you can apply pressure to Ole Miss to make that happen if you were able to get Barone. So that's one thing to watch for. Taylor, I know you love the portal and roster management. Do you have any takes on this before we move on?
I think you could fill 2 spots with one potentially if you could do this, right? Because you still need a veteran DB. We've talked about that a few times. It's like you don't need numbers. I mean, what do they have? 19 DBs between corners and safeties. Like, you have the numbers. You don't have a guy with a lot of SEC experience. And I get that Walker's bounced around a little bit. You mentioned it, Georgia Tech, Louisville, Tennessee, but he's been in college football a while.
Yeah,
now, how much in-game does he have? Not a ton, but, I mean, he knows how to do it. He knows how the day in, day out works. He could still come in and potentially be a leader in that room. And then, obviously, on the defensive line, like Tyler Barone, a talented player, a guy who everybody wants, and you need bodies. Anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter who it is. You need bodies on the defensive line. If you could get both of them, I mean, that would be huge because we talked about it a lot, right? Which 2 defensive linemen could you get? You need multiple guys. You could still go after D-lineman. You bring both of these guys in. I mean, you got 4 or 5 spots left on your roster right now.
Yeah, to be clear, too, though, Barone would be playing that edge, right? He's not going to give you defensive tackle help, but I don't hate your edge position right now to begin with. Kevin Peoples supposed to be one of the faster risers in coaching circles as well. So, like, you give Peoples, you already give him Swinson and Shand right now. Who else am I missing?
You got Savion Jones.
You got Savion Jones out there, bringing you a little size. So I feel he'll probably kick down at times this year. Yeah, that's right. Of course, Womack's out there.
And that's somebody they're high on.
You had Barone to that crew. Like, that's a pretty strong position group right there.
Well, and then Kelly talked about it like he wanted to cross-train some of his bigger ends at D-tackle. You bring in another end, you could play Shand or Jones more inside. So it's like, it doesn't fill a specific area of need, but it does allow you more versatility.
I think that's the biggest thing is the fact that you would be able to kick 2 guys potentially down to play some defensive tackle. Would you be a little bit lighter there? You would be, but you would still have a good football player that would give you the speed advantage, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you'd have to count on your linebackers a little bit more in the run game. They would have to be pretty stout, knowing that there's a chance the defensive tackle could be in their lap oftentimes. Now, pass rush, it gives you a big advantage, but on those rundowns, your linebackers would have to make up that space.
Yeah, and look, that's going to be up to the staff to try to maximize whatever personnel groupings they end up with. So be on the lookout. Wesley Walker may visiting this weekend, maybe Tyler Barone as well. Only time will tell. Wow, Jake, what incredible takes.
I mean, those guys, they're just the best.
I think so. And if you think so, again, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notifications when we post every single day here on OTB LSU.